Joining me now, Simon Rosenberg, president and founder of NDN, a think tank and advocacy organization. He's also a former campaign advisor to President Clinton. And Mark Thiessen, who's a fellow at the American Enterprise Institute and a former speechwriter for President George W. Bush. Mark, I mean, what the intel services are telling us now is that not only was what she said not true, but this administration knew it wasn't true, and they knew it for several days. And not only did they know that this was a terrorist attack, but they knew that it had been listed officially inside the government as a terrorist attack, that they were searching for the suspects, that it was an attack on U.S. soil, which a U.S. consulate is, and the first U.S. ambassador to be killed since 1979. They knew all that when Susan Rice was sent out to tell us that it was in response to a video and just a spontaneous act. Please put this in perspective for us.
Well, let's have the most generous interpretation possible for this administration. When Eli Lake broke this story, and I'll tell you why I think it's wrong, but here's the only explanation possible. When Eli Lake reported this initially, he broke this story. He quoted 3 different officials saying, for the Daily Beast, soon after the attack, we had a pretty good beat on some of the individuals involved in the attack. Another one said, we had 2 kinds of intelligence on one guy. We believe we had enough to target him. And a third guy said, these guys have return address, camps of people, and a variety of things we could do. So if you had intelligence about a possible terrorist attack, it would make sense not to tip off al-Qaeda that we knew so that we would have the element of surprise and if we wanted to respond to it. Now, the problem with that is, one, we didn't respond. It's been 17 days, and there have been no drone strikes on al-Qaeda camps, or the return address hasn't been hit anywhere. And 2, there's a difference between withholding intelligence and lying about intelligence to the American people. And what Susan Rice did in that clip you played was a bald-faced lie on every element. There was no protest. We did know at that time that it was a planned attack on the anniversary of 9/11, and so she went out several days, 5 days after the incident happened, and lied about it. And so the question the administration really needs to answer right now is, 1, why did you lie to the American people? And 2, why 17 days? If we had all this great intelligence about the individuals behind this attack and their return address, why haven't we hit any return addresses in 17 days since the attack happened?
Simon?
It's a little hard for me to listen to an official from the Bush administration who had their guard down when the worst terrorist attack in American history happened under their watch.
Simon,
and then never in 7 years were able to actually catch the bad guy, to be complaining about 17 days. No, I'm not kidding, Mark, about complaining about lack of reaction in 17 days. Let's look at what actually has happened in Libya during these 17 days,
Simon.
right? The people, I'm trying to finish. Mark's interrupting me. Is that so? First of all, I find it offensive, this tack that is coming from a Bush administration official, because it was our guy, President Obama, who actually ended up cleaning up their mess, Qaeda, many years after they let this guy go. The second thing is,
I'll give you the floor in a second, Mark. I will give you the floor. I promise you that, but let him finish.
Please. So, yeah, you got your time, Mark. Is that the point is that what's happened in Libya since? We've seen an outpouring of support for the American government in Libya. We've been working cooperatively with our ally, our good ally, the Libyan government. Today, we saw the Libyan people raid 2 of the militias themselves, disbanding 2 of the 3 major militias that were potentially involved in this action and kicking them out of their own country, right? So they've been disbanded and dismantled by the Libyan people themselves. So this idea that nothing's happened, that there hasn't been progress made, is itself a lie and is knowing disbelief and not acknowledging what's happening on the ground in Libya. This is all something to do about nothing. I mean, we have had problems in the Middle East for 40 years. We're going to have problems for decades to come.
Simon,
there has been tremendous progress made.
Listen, I let you give a very full answer. But I did not hear an answer to my question, to the topic that we're discussing, which is, even if everything you said is true, why did the administration send our UN ambassador out to all those Sunday shows to tell us this was about a protest and it was spontaneous and it was a copycat to what we saw in Egypt, when they knew, according to these reports, that it was terror? I got to hold you over. Hard break right now in 5 seconds. I'm going to come back to Simon and Mark right after this break.
I took